I usually answer the email and questions on the car flipping forum as soon as I get them. However, a lot of times I know that the answer is one that a lot of other flippers are looking for too. So this week, I'm going to share those answers here and hope that they help a lot more of you make more money. If you buy and sell cars for a profit, or you want to, you're in the right place. This is the Flipping Genius Podcast. I am your host, Randy Lee. I've been flipping cars most of my life, despite having almost zero mechanical skill. For the past dozen years or so, I've been a licensed used car dealer in the great state of Alabama. No matter what the topic, the number one goal of this podcast is to help our listeners make more money. Let's get to it, flippers. I mentioned the car flipping forum, the Flipping Genius group on Facebook, and I ask everyone, number one, to join, and number two, to participate. The group is quickly approaching over 200 members, and I'm also beginning to see a lot more interaction from the members too. And just for fun, hey, I thought I'd welcome 12 of the newest members here by name. Welcome Dan King from Minnesota, Amin Katan from Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Richard Jackman from Florida, Sean Scroggin from California. Sean's got an awesome YouTube channel too. David Disbro from Arizona. David was on our podcast back about a dozen episodes and does a great job down there in Arizona with a very unique market. Nick Feinfrock from Missouri, Mark J.C. Horton from Florida, Hector Serrano from Massachusetts, Asia Monique from Tennessee, Ashton Watson from Washington State, Jay Maniscalco, sorry about that, from Alabama, Jay Maniscalco from Alabama, Jamie Farrell from Texas. And I want to thank everybody who's become a member of the Flipping Genius Car Flipping Forum. And I hope that whoever's listening right now will join them. And I just thought it'd be kind of fun just to welcome you. So welcome, and I look forward to hearing your insights on the Car Flipping Forum. Hey, as I said in the intro, we're going to be answering some questions, and I got a handful of them that I'll try to get to. So let's get right to it. First off, and I'm sorry for everybody who I've mispronounced your name so far, and I think I'll probably do it again, from Tadai Gao from Ohio. Tadai asked to give me a rundown on the results of my own. Oh, he asked me to give you a rundown of my own flips that I've mentioned of late. And I guess Tadai wants to hold me accountable, and I say that's good enough. I think there's been 4 vehicles that I've mentioned in the last few episodes, so I thought I'd just go right to them. There was a Chevy Malibu that I mentioned. It's a 2012, which for me is a very new car, and that it was a very good car. It turned out, we had it checked out. Didn't really find anything wrong with it. I paid a little bit of money to have them inspected. Everything was straight, cleaned it up, and it took 35 days total to sell that vehicle. I ran into a little bit of resistance, I think, just because it had a rebuilt title, and also the miles there's a mileage discrepancy, which I disclose all that up front, but that keeps the phone from ringing sometimes because people don't want to deal with that. But 35 days is not terrible for me. Some of you guys want to flip them in a matter of a couple days, and I love it when I do that too. But I sat on that one longer than I'd like to. But I had a total invested of $25.15. I sold it for $5,000. I made $2,485. So that's at 99% ROI. I'm always happy with that, and that's pretty nice return on that one. And a good vehicle. Really feel good about the whole deal. I sold that one for less than I probably thought I was going to at the initial part, just because based on the numbers. But I think because if it's a rebuilt title, you're going to get less money for it. But you got to build that in when you're buying it, right? The other one I talked about was a nice little Honda Pilot, good looking car. Again, I bought it right. It didn't need a lot of work. I think I had a total, according to my numbers, I had a total of $1,614 into it. I sold it in 9 days once it was ready. Well, 9 days from the time I bought it, actually, for $3,300. So I made a profit of $1,686, which is 104% return on investment, which is, again, right, in a market, a pocket that I like to be in. So those two were definite wins, and another really good car, and I probably would have sold that one for another $700 or $800 more, but I had a repeat customer. A real good repeat customer was looking for a vehicle just like that, and I wound up negotiating with myself to give them a better deal than what they had bargained for. But I like to do that because that's why you get repeat customers. So those two have sold and made me over $4,000 between the two of them. I also picked up from an individual. I picked up a Ford Freestyle, a 2005. And that one I thought was going to be boom, ready to go right away. And it turned out that we uncovered with that one, it needed a new throttle body, which honestly, as you all know, I'm not a mechanic, so I can't even explain to you what that is, but I can tell you that it costs about $600 to fix it. So what started off as a $900 vehicle wound up, I've got $1,620 in it. And I think I'll sell it for $3,000. I'll have $1,620 in it when I'm done, I think. I still have a couple things I got to do to it to get it ready. And when I do, I estimate that I'll pull $1,200 profit from that one. And I've got a van that I just bought this week. I don't know if I mentioned it yet. I think I did last week because I bought it via barter, which is something I really enjoy doing anytime I can. I think I've talked about it before, that I do a lot of barter through barter associations like iTex, which is one of our sponsors this week. We'll talk about that a little bit, but the idea there is I can buy at my cost of doing business. So the gentleman I bought the vehicle from owns a restaurant, and a restaurant's a good example of a business that has a good markup. Usually a typical restaurant their food costs are usually probably about 20 to 25 cents of the total bill. So everything else there, all their overhead is still there. If they have an empty table, it's not paying for anybody. But if they have somebody sitting there paying for the food with barter money, that money really only costs them 20, 25 cents on the dollar. So when they can turn around and spend that money the same way as we spend our regular dollars, that's a real win-win. And that works for me in a business that I own in possibly even better margins than that. So I bought a very nice Dodge Caravan, Grand Caravan. It is a exceptional vehicle as far as everything works on it great, very well maintained. It's got 183,000 miles on it, but a lot of good life left in the engine on that one. But I just got that one, having it cleaned up Thursday, having the Freestyle cleaned up this Thursday, and that is if somebody doesn't buy it. I actually talked to somebody about the van already, and very possible that I'll wind up selling that van for a little bit more than I paid for it, except for when I sell it, I'll be selling it for cash. So I'm seeing my true net profit on that van to be probably close to 150% return on investment. I'm guessing that I'll actually have a realistic net of around $1,800 on that one. So that's pretty good. But anyway, that's what I've done with those four. I appreciate you asking today, and hope that answers your questions. Anybody, I try to be an open book on this stuff. We're all doing the same thing. I want to talk about what I do. I'm not a huge flipper. I don't do tons of them. I keep a consistent roll of flips going, and of course the other businesses keep us operating too. And now we're doing some one-on-one coaching with car flippers and dealers from around the country. if you're interested in that, feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk to you more about that too. The next question I got was from Pete Shook, and Pete asked a long question. Pete said, I'm having trouble finding anything I can make money on. I bought a '06 Nissan Sentra at the public auction for $1,750. After fees and transportation, I had $1,900 in it. It needed some work to the transmission that cost me over $1,300. Altogether, I have over $3,400 in it. I'm asking $4,300 for it, but haven't even gotten a call. I talked to a couple of friends, and they say that I'll be lucky to get $3,000 for it. I would lose $400 on it that way. What do I do? How can I win on this one, and how can I avoid this kind of mistake and make money the next time? Well, Pete, that's a lot of questions. Just kidding. Actually, I think the answer to your question is something I learned a long time ago, just in business, and it's this phrase: begin with the end in mind. You know what I'm going to say? You make your money when you spend it, and you knew I'd say that. I mean, but it's really true. The fact is, and we talked about this last week, or a couple weeks ago, I think we talked about tools that I use, and a simple tool I use all the time is Kelley Blue Book app. You may have a more sophisticated app, but that one works for me. And when I plug those numbers in, the '06 Sentra, pretty much a base model with a little bit higher than average miles, it's not going to be worth any more than $2,500 to $3,000 unless it's exceptional. So you need to. You bought it for at least $500 more than you probably should have, and then if you couldn't buy it for the $500 less, you just need to walk away. Another thing about that Nissan and Nissans in general, these models, is they have this CVT transmission. It's a continuous variable transmission. I don't know a lot about it. I just know I hate it. It's a big trouble problem with Nissans when they get over 100,000 miles, which, this is a vehicle I would look at, and I looked at a couple today, but I really shy away from them unless I can buy them really cheap. And if I can buy them really cheap, this is usually going to be the problem. And I'll tell you this, Pete, you could have spent a lot more money on that transmission. They cost around $3,000. So you said that you spent, I think, $1,300 on it. Yeah, $1,300. So you did okay. And so I can consider myself lucky there. I have a list of cars that I stay away from. I've got a list of, I got a couple other lists that I like, certain sellers that I stay away from too, but that's a different story. But Nissans, and it's crazy because I've always liked the cars. They seem really nice cars, but I steer clear of them because I've run into the same transmission problem myself, and it has been, fortunately for me, I hadn't bitten off as much as you did, and I was able to walk away and actually take a little bit of money back. But I used a different formula. I actually just resold at auction. But in this case, you spent so much money on the car initially that you really couldn't afford to not fix that transmission. You had to fix it and take it back. So you did the right thing there. But I have a list, and I've developed that list, and I stick to that list pretty much. And the way I've developed mine, because I'm not a big mechanically inclined person, is I've talked to my mechanics, and I've talked to other dealers, and I've learned over the last 12, 13 plus years which vehicles I want to stay away from. And of course, that list continues to change, both good and bad. I mean, there's some cars that have come off the list because they've improved them. But I recommend that you try to make a list too, and begin that, and there'll be some vehicles you stay away from. This might be one of them in the future, or you may find out that no, you know how to handle that better than I do. And you asked about the way to maximize your sale price, and that's a great question amongst your questions. And I would say the key is, now that you've got it repaired and it's running right, is to get it as cosmetically appealing as possible. And that's, getting this clean, everything clean, make it look as pretty as possible. But then the key is great pictures. And This is something I seem to have a knack for. We talked about how I don't have very many strengths. Everybody's got strengths, and this is some crazy little superpower that I have. I'm able to take good pictures. So I think I'm going to post something on the car flipping forum this week. I don't know if it'll be a video or just a post talking about how to take good photos, because this is such a key. And I see people take photos that do not paint their vehicle in the best light, and it's very important. So take the right pictures. The right pictures can help you sell it. So that's something else that you can do. And I honestly, Pete, I think breaking even on this one might be as good as you can do, just like your friends had told you, because you just bought it too high. But that's the key. Learn your market and set your price at the outset, and do not overpay. And I'm hoping for your sake that you can get your money back and maybe a couple bucks more. But if you get your money back to this one, if you get your $3,400, take it and shut it down, because you don't want anything else to break on this thing. You got a lot of money invested in what I consider kind of a hot potato. And I'll give you an example. I always think practice what you preach, Randy, and I was doing that today. As you know, if you listened before, Tuesdays I go to the dealer auction. They're great folks, and I've got a lot of good friends there. And I get in there, and I have a handful of cars that I'm looking at. They had 380 cars, I think, this week, which is a low number for them. There are also less folks there because it was Memorial Day weekend. There's people competing. But I stood there, and I didn't really have a shot at much, because I stick to my numbers. Well, one came through as a 2001 Toyota 4Runner. I really like those vehicles. I love Toyotas. 4Runners are always appealing, and it seemed like a pretty solid vehicle. I didn't get a chance to drive it. I did start it. I had to use a jump box to start it. Checked it out, and it seemed pretty good. It had high miles, like 255, which is no big deal on a Toyota. It's definitely got another 100,000 left in it, I would say. It looked good inside and out. It had good rubber on it. Battery obviously needed to be replaced, but that was my analysis. Quick, I had the winning bid on it. I think it will sell for $3,800. I think that's my number. Usually pretty close to that. And now in your part of the country, maybe you can get 7,500 for it. I don't know, but in my part of Alabama, that's a $3,800 vehicle on my place. So I stick to that number. If I'm pessimistic and wind up selling it for 4,500, that's a wonderful thing. But 3,800 is my number that I am working with, and that's beginning with the end in mind, like I just told you, Pete. My winning bid was $1,250, and that seems really great, doesn't it? But it's not an absolute auction, so that means I have to wait around to see if that seller, which in this case was a new car lot, if they're going to accept that. And I really thought they might, but in the meantime, I also want to go back and recheck that car out if I got a minute. And I went and I talked to a couple of the guys actually who were bidding against me. One of them tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I saw you were bidding on that, and I just let you have it." And I greatly appreciate that, Jeff. If you're listening, I do really appreciate it. The other bidder who drove my price up a little bit, but I thought might have gotten me to the number I needed to be at. He told me that he had found something wrong with it in the differential, and I'm guessing it's going to be about a $700 or $1,000 repair. That was really valuable information that I didn't have going into this whole session. So with fees and everything, I figured I would be looking at around $2,600 to $2,700, which would still be okay because I would still net about $1,000, and that's really my target. I don't expect to double my money every time, but in the meantime, I learned that information, and then when I heard back from the seller, they said that they had a minimum of $1,500, which you might say that's only $250 more, but in my mind, no, it made all the difference in the world. I was already at my maximum at $1,250 due to the information I had. So I just told them no sale, and they'll pull that off. It'll be back next week, and I'll let you know if I can buy it next week for even less, because that's happened before. But the key here, the reason I'm telling you all this stuff, Pete, is we all get losers. We do. You just need to learn from it and do better next time, and take that number, that end that you've got in mind, that we begin with that end in mind. Take that number and make it firm as concrete in your mind. Do not let them push you, and don't let emotions get you carried away, because that's when you make your money. You make your money when you spend it. And I'm going to take a break and get another jug of Kickapoo Joy Juice. Let me tell you a little bit about another idea that's going to improve your bottom line. If you could buy vehicles and houses and food using no cash, would that be something you'd be interested in? Well, about 30 years ago or more, somebody came to me with that idea, and I said, not yes, I said hell yes. And it's worked fantastically for me. And if you listen to the Flipping Genius podcast in the past, you've heard me talk about my friends at iTex. They do a fantastic job of helping me locate what I want to buy and enabling me to buy it at my cost of doing business. This past year, I've purchased vehicles and I've purchased real estate, just for example, without spending any cash. I've turned around and sold those vehicles and that real estate for cash, actually for a profit. Now, this may be something that sounds even confusing to you. That's fine. I was confused when I first heard about it too, but I'm so glad that I decided to become a member of iTex. iTex is the largest barter community in the world. They're traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and they do a fantastic job of representing their customers like me and help us find what we're looking for our business or our personal life without spending our cash dollars. Especially in a time like these, it's important to hold on to your cash. Probably all times, right? If you want to learn more about iTex and how they help us and how they can help you, contact me personally at flippingquestions@gmail.com, or feel free to click on the iTex button at our website. Just go to flippinggenius.com and click on resources, and under resources, under business, you'll see the iTex button. Click on there and learn all about what my friends at iTex can do for you to help your business. Check them out. You'll be glad you did. Hey, another question. Eric asked, I've never flipped a car and I want to get into car flipping. I'm pretty good at the internet and finding good deals and also advertising, but I've got zero mechanical experience, but I'm pretty good at figuring things out. My question is it possible to find good deals with little or no work and just flip them for a profit? Well, Eric asked this question on the car flipping forum, by the way, and I want to thank Mark Allen from Indiana for taking the time to answer Eric and encourage him. You can read Mark Allen's response on the forum, along with some other give and take between Eric and I. Eric, I know for a fact that you can succeed in buying vehicles that need little or no mechanical work. I mean, frankly, I gave examples of two that we did last month earlier, and I mean, the two generated over $4,000 in net profit. I know I've referenced the $1,000 car wash in the past episodes, and it's proved true so many times for me. As I mentioned earlier, getting a vehicle to be cosmetically appealing is very key to maximizing your price. And that doesn't mean that I do every possible thing. So it's a balance of what makes sense to me uh, monetarily and cosmetically, and so sometimes I go all in, and other times I don't. And again, I would love to hear more input from other folks. I know for a fact that I've seen some people recently who have joined the forum who do things differently than I do, and that doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. It's just a different approach. But to answer your question, Eric, absolutely, you can do that. Um, you can definitely find vehicles. A couple other things to keep in mind, Eric, is you've got to buy the vehicle at the right price. I don't think there's too many times that I can say that. That's the key. You've got to get into it for the right price. And the other thing is begin building your team as soon as possible. And your team, Eric, your team should be built around your strengths and weaknesses, just like mine is. And that's going to be different because you're different than me. And it's excellent, for instance, that you say you're good at figuring things out, because the more you can do, the more opportunity you will have. So yeah, keep learning, keep growing, and at the same time, keep seeking others to help you build your success. Thanks for your question, Eric. The beauty of the car flipping forum is that we can share and learn from each other. And I knew when we started it that there would be some questions that would come up that I would not have the answer to, that I just didn't have the expertise in. I hope that I've never presented myself as knowing the answers to everything. I know I call the show the Flipping Genius, but that's a kind of tongue in cheek because obviously, I'm probably more the $1,000 car wash guy than I am anything else. But it's all, I think the genius is in working together, and that's something that's really starting to come together in the car flipping forum. But I knew that I would be learning on the forum too. And right now there are several posts in the group that I'm looking forward to hear your input, to hear other people's input. For instance, Car Ward from Texas, and thank you, Car. You've been participating a lot, got a lot of good questions and insights. Car Ward asked numerous questions about his experiences and shared some of his experiences with Copart auctions. And now I shared what I had learned from selling a vehicle at Copart. It's a good positive experience, but I invite you to share with Car too, because he's got some questions I don't have answers to, and more needs more insight. Christian Lee from Utah, and a big thanks to Christian for your support of the program. Christian has made numerous helpful comments over the time and the forum, and recently recommended an app that he uses to find used parts called Row 52. Excuse me. I checked it out, and it looks like a good app. I think maybe it's growing. It didn't find any. It didn't seem to help me in my neck of the woods. And I know Christian was commenting that as something he uses that's similar to car/part.com. So I still swear by and use constantly. But the more insights we have, the more tools that we can share, the better all of us will get. So Christian, thanks so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Portafoy Jones from Alabama has been very active in the forum, and recently asked about that computer chip shortage that's affecting the car business. And he also asked about the growing private car rental business. And unfortunately, I really don't have any insights on either of these things. So I'm really looking forward to you answering Portafoy's question too. If you know anything about that stuff, I'd love to see your insights and like to hear you share them. Now, if you're not a member yet, you can find the car flipping forum either by searching Flipping Genius in groups in Facebook, and you'll see all of our groups. We've got about 20 of them. They'll all be there, including the car flipping forum. It'll probably be the first one on the list. Just click on there, request a membership. Please answer the questions. Just ask you 3 questions about yourself, so I know a little bit about you and make sure that you're a real person, because about 1 out of 10 I just have to delete because they didn't answer the questions. I'm not trying to get in your business. I just want to make sure that you're real. And if you run a Facebook group, as I do, one has about 40,000 people in it. We get over 100 people trying to scam us every single day. So please join that way. If you join that way, just answer a couple questions. You can also visit flippinggenius.com, FLIPPINGENIUS.com, and just click on the Flippers Forum button there. It's called Flippers Forum. The button's called different than the thing. That's my mistake, but it's there. Just click on that and you can join, or just email me at flippingquestions@gmail.com and ask for a link, and I'll send you a direct link and you can join that way. I hope you'll also consider becoming a Flipping team member or joining our new Flipping Partners program. Again, just click on the links at flippinggenius.com to learn more. They'll tell you about all the benefits you get. The Flipping team member is something we've been doing for a while. We try to give you way more than you give us. We do ask you to contribute $9.99 a month to the growth of the Flipping Genius program, and for that we give you things back that are worth more than you pay us, especially when you very first join. And then the Flipping Partners program is relatively new, and we're very limited in our availability there, but that's where we actually work one-on-one with some of you guys out there to help you build your business. And if you're interested in doing that, we're just growing that. I'd love for you to reach out to me. Just send me a question at flippingquestions@gmail.com, and we can discuss that, and if that's something that would fit what you're doing. My idea is to spend a little bit of time with you and help you make a lot more money. Absolutely, it's a profit center for you. So I hope you'll consider doing those things. Just go to flippinggenius.com and check them out. Of course, while you're on our website, you can also listen to over 72 episodes of Flipping Genius podcast. You can watch our YouTube channel. You can search our resources page and find discounts and valuable information on just about everything I know about, and we keep adding to that. And you can interact with us and share your ideas and your requests and your questions and anything else. So that maybe we'll use your question on another episode of this in the future. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Flipping Genius. Please subscribe. Please follow us. Please like us. Please share us everywhere you're at. Click on social media and tell other friends about it. Forward the link to your friends by email or by text. Tell them about Flipping Genius. We can help them make more money too. That's the whole idea of the Flipping Genius program, is to help you guys make more money. That's the #1 goal of the Flipping Genius. And the more people we can help, the bigger we get. The bigger we get, the more we can do. Thanks for your help. Hey, let's work together. Let's make some money. Let's all become Flipping Geniuses.